Live from Ground Zero, the War on Power Cats. I'm John Kurtz. He's Matt Hall. You know him from K-State Online. Out here at the stadium right now, they're currently trying to strip away the... No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, everybody. It's
all
okay.
Safe.
It's okay. Cat script can still be a thing on helmets for 1 week, and I think it's going to be okay. How about that? Before we get into the press conference, man, how about this hullabaloo?
I know.
A lot of people think that these helmets are real poppycock.
There we go. That's one of 3 references we were going to get. Well done. Some people do think it's poppycock. I don't. But I really liked Kurt's tweet earlier where he said something along the lines of, hey, I need to, speaking as John, not try to tell people how to feel if they don't like them to like them. And I'm on the same page as like whatever you like. I'm that kind of guy. But I have been surprised at some of the concerns shared about these Script Cats helmets. They're going to do it one time. They'll probably do it one time next year. Who knows? Yeah, and like I've said, too, not to get on a giant soapbox, but there's some guys who wore those helmets who played really hard. Even if they lost 70-0, they played really hard and played for K-State. And I don't see a problem with telling those guys thanks, too. So, but yeah, as Kurt said, unfortunately, they're not scraping anything off here. You're safe. You're good to go. Power Cats forever.
And bigger picture, you can go to my Twitter account at JL Kurtz and see what Skylar Thompson had to say, but he basically said, yeah, man, it was 30 years ago. We don't know or care, and it's really about us as players and recruiting and that kind of thing, about being able to switch it up. And like if the kids like it, it's what matters. It's about what the kids are talking about these days. That's really what ultimately matters here. Your biggest takeaway from the press conference today was what?
Maybe it's not the biggest story, but it's something you and I talked about. I really liked all of Chris Kleiman's answers today, but particularly the one about Wildcat Gill. He was very respectful about it. He didn't call it officials. He didn't call it players, but more or less he was asked, about the injury to him when a Texas player hit him just needlessly, violently, and I wrote cowardly today because it was. And he talked about being a little bit frustrated that Wildcat's probably going to miss a game this week. It's not a sure thing, but probably going to miss the game, to where the Texas defender who did it will miss a half. So there's a lot more bigger scope things we'll talk about, I'm sure, in this video. But to me, that stood out because I thought he handled that very, very well, and I really agree with him.
Yeah, and I'm glad that he answered it the way that he did, because I was trying to think, how do I frame this question? And I almost asked him, did you think that warrants something beyond just being taken out of the game? And he basically said that without me having to lead him there with the question, which I definitely appreciated. But it does suck. I mean, the good news would be that in general they're pretty healthy, relatively speaking. I know A.J. Parker obviously is still going to be out, but Chris Kleiman said they got out of the game with Wildcat Gill being the only player that played in the game that is now hurt, that likely won't play this week, which is, the way things have been going, a nice change.
It really, really is. And I know fans of all teams, and they're right, thinks their team is the most beat up in the country. And K-State's pretty beat up, but to only add the Wildcat Gill injury is probably positive. I think it was officially said today that Sammy Wheeler is out for the season. That's something Derek wrote 2 weeks ago on the site, but that's officially out there today. Jordan Brown, James Gilbert, sound like they're both still available to practice. Joe Irvin definitely available to practice this week. So they'll get healthier at running back, but I don't know how much healthier. You could speak for it as well as or better than I can. It wasn't exactly glowing on the status of Gilbert and Brown, but I do think K-State's probably closer to being healthy. He called Malik Knowles 85%, I think, in an answer to a question for you. So do add Wildcat Gill, and that's too bad. But yeah, I think it is starting to move back in the right direction for K-State.
Yeah, James Gilbert is an ankle apparently, which that was actually news to me. I did not know what the actual injury was. I've been asked that a couple of times, and Chris Kleiman did go into some detail about that today, which is another thing I did appreciate. But they said it's not healed the way that they really would like it to and the way James Gilbert would like it to, but that he did practice yesterday, but it was a lighter day. Today's a heavier day. He's cleared to practice. But I think it's probably just going to be wait and see, unfortunately, with James Gilbert some more. And Chris Kleiman continues to bring up, and I think it's true, they've had success with that 3-back diamond formation, and that is one of the biggest things that the team loses when they have whoever it is, Jordan Brown or James Gilbert out. The Oklahoma game is the only time in recent memory that they had those 3 guys, and how many times did we see them use that with a lot of success?
No doubt about it. And I don't think any of us are saying that K-State runs for 300 yards against Texas if James Gilbert's playing. That's not the point. But when you take really 3 guys out of it, James Gilbert, Jordan Brown played a lot against Texas, but got nicked up again, Chris Kleiman said today. No Joe Irvin. So that's however you slice it, 3 of your top 5 running backs. It does limit what you can do. So I think what K-State has done in the running game without those guys is very, very impressive. And John's right. It has taken away something the Wildcats would like to use. I do think one way or another. I don't know what the 3 will be, but I think you'll get to add Joe Irvin back to that mix and probably some combination of Jordan Brown or James Gilbert to where you have a better chance to use that this week against West Virginia.
I mean, honestly, Tyler Birds looked fine when he was in the game running the ball. It is
I'm
almost
looking for Twitter questions real quick. Keep talking.
Okay, it is almost like curious to me a little bit that they haven't used Tyler Birds a little bit more. Maybe that's a good question that we should be asking, but there has to be something else, right, that's keeping him behind in the pecking order, because he runs really hard when he has the ball.
Yeah, you have to believe so. I don't know what it is, to be quite honest, because he shows the physicality. He shows, he doesn't have elite speed, but it's not in a problem to the point where it's limiting him when he gets his carries. So yeah, there has to be something to it. I mean, we don't know about a little bit, or the other guys are just slightly a little bit better. That kind of thing. But I do think he's a capable back for K-State for sure. You want me to throw some of these at you? Do it backwards a little bit, or do you want to look at them?
Let's do this.
Okay, keep it going.
Let's do this real quick for you, because I liked your line of questioning today to Chris Kleiman about his process-oriented approach in a very results-driven world in 2019 and a results-driven profession as well, and asking Chris Kleiman if he does get much pushback on that, which it was interesting to say. I mean, at least his public answer was that he doesn't get very much pushback.
Yeah, we had a question from Scott Wildcat that asked that, so it worked out pretty well about that thing about results-driven, process-driven. I just think it's a fascinating thing, and John and I talked about it before the presser. I didn't want to ask it in a way that more or less was kissing his backside and telling me how smart